Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the king of 5.7x28mm, and we have a 5.7x28mm test today. This is brand new from FN. This is their SS200 load from the DFNS line, or I'm going to guess defense. This is a 30 grain jacketed hollow point. In full transparency, I myself purchased this from Gun Zone Deals. They were one of the first to have this available. So I made a quick purchase, so thank you to them for having this available. Let's throw this on the table and talk about what we're going to do today. If you all didn't know, all of the US 5.7x28mm, to include American Eagle TMJ, Spear Gold Dot, SS197, Fiocchi High Performance, the Fiocchi Range Dynamics, and this FN line are all loaded by Fiocchi USA. I suspect the Hornady loads that will be released in 2024 will be loaded by Fiocchi as well, again because they have the contract for all US 5.7x28mm ammunition with the exception of AAC. Since 5.7x28mm is one of my favorite calibers, I have a wide variety of barrel lengths to choose from our 4.7 all the way up to our 16. We're going to pick a few of our favorites there to check for a general reliability through all these guns. You know, if I have any issues with my small sample size, you could extrapolate that out to know that you might want to stay away from this load. After we've collected our velocity figures, we're going to do a practical accuracy test, and because this is marketed as a self-defense load, we will shoot this in some clear ballistics gel to see what kind of penetration depths we want. Now, in the grand scheme of things, preferred penetration depths in gel would be 12 inches plus. That's what the FBI says is ideal, so that if you were to have to shoot someone in a self-defense situation, you reach vital organs depending on how thick the adversary is. There could be pluses and minuses to wanting less penetration or more. Generally 18 inches is considered a maximum, but we really want to see at least 12 inches. Now, from what I can tell, that this 30 grain jacketed hollow point is a Barnes varmint grenade. Those types of bullets are known for explosive fragmentation, although at a much higher velocity. When we see these lower velocities like we have in our 5.7 versus 5.56, generally we don't see the same type of terminal ballistics from that particular round. We may see a little bit of expansion or the bullet breaking in half, or sometimes it may not do anything at all. Around 50 to 55 degrees outside today, and we'll be using our Proconal Pal Digital DLX to collect our velocities. Up first, we'll start with our shortest model. This is our 4.7 inch PSA Rock. They've teased at a compact model with a shorter barrel, but we haven't seen hide nor hair of that yet. Now this is the thing we're going to have to look out for. This is a 30 grain loading, and the powder charge is that of equalness to the 40 grain load, so we could see some malfunctions here. We did get lockback though. Could just be that the guns are cold. Now we'll step up a skosh in our barrel length. This is our OEM 4.75 inch 5.7 Mark II. I actually forgot the MRD Mark III today. Still getting some hiccups on these rounds. We did get lockback though. On to our newcomer. This is our Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7. Has a 5-inch barrel. It is actually gas operated. The barrel is inside of a sleeve that actually rotates. The downside to all of that, though, is that there is an actual velocity loss with this barrel length. We're looking at sometimes only 2%, but upwards of 5% or more depending on the load. Gotta make sure you really slap the magazines in there with this guy. Got cycling and lock back. I will say with the M&P, it is the lowest recoiling of the 5.7 guns because of that gas operated system. Now on to our 5.2-inch barrel. This is our PSA Rock. This has the RK1 slide, 5.2-inch threaded barrel. Very, very nice little gun. This is actually the third Rock that I have. Failure to cycle that first round. And the second round. And the third round. Starting to bend the bullet a little bit because of the failures to feed. This is going to be painfully slow. The downside to most of this 5.7 ammunition, at least from FN and Fiocchi and all them, is they don't crimp the case neck on this, and with shorter bullets, they don't go very far in the case mouth, and that can be a problem. If there is a jam, it will typically jam the bullet inside the case or cause it to completely fall out. And then it dumps powder everywhere in your gun. Very, very temperamental load with that 30 grain. Again, I think they likely need to bump the velocity of this up to ensure cycling. And then with this bullet choice, that may not be a good thing because it's got a compressed metal core, and that could lead to underpenetration. Probably a very poor choice for a bullet design, at least until we test it in gel. Now on to our PDW PCC barrel lengths. This is our CMMG MK57 8-inch barrel. This one uses their proprietary magazines on any AR lower. That would be none. Picking up velocity a little bit. We did get lock back on the bolt, but again, that first round, failure to cycle the next round. And I've noted that a lot in our 5.7 guns, especially when it gets cooler outside or the gun has been sitting. It seems to work a lot better when there's more heat in the gun when you're using underpowered loads. And now for the OG, this is our 10.4-inch FN P90 SBR. Have a Holosun AMS up top with some HBI mounts. Very solid little setup for a red dot on here. Good field of view. On to our 12-inch. This is our AR-57 from Panzer Arms. They, I think, are under new management and reintroduced this particular upper with some design improvements. So far, it's a pretty solid upper. I don't like that there's not a lot of rail space, but because it uses a P90 magazine, that's pretty much the downside to it. The shells eject out of the bottom, uses any standard AR lower with their specific buffer. And finally, our 16-inch. This is our Ruger LC carbine. I picked this up not too long ago. Very nice little setup, although pretty much the fire control group is a direct bring over from the Ruger 5.7, and I despise the trigger in this. I like that we have the little magazine release on the left-hand side, but there is no way to make it ambidextrous to the other side for us southpaws. It does use our Ruger or PSA magazine, so that's a good thing. Failure to feed on that first one. Did get locked back, so I would say our failures to cycle in that first round are likely because it's somewhat cold outside, and all of our 5.7 guns seem to choke on our underpowered loads when it's cold. That's what she said anyways. Here is our FN 30 grain JHP at 25 yards with a few different firearms. First, we set up the Ruger LC with an 18 power scope and the JK Armament rimfire suppressor, 0.609 inches. This one, I wonder if it was the first round because it had a failure to cycle. Then immediately after, we shot this really great group here, 0.350 inches. Downright amazing for my skill set. We went to the Rock unsuppressed 2.530 inches. We threw the suppressor on there, and then we had some trouble. 5.866 inches. From what I can tell, I'm not getting any baffle strikes, but we had multiple failures to properly cycle with that. We had one round that jammed halfway into the chamber, so I discarded that one, and I noted that the bullet was no longer centered in the case. The neck was slightly bent out. Then we threw the suppressor on our 5.7 Mark III or MRD, 1.028 inches. That was only 4 shots because, again, one of those rounds failed to cycle, and when I ejected it, the bullet was no longer concentric with the case, so I figured that might deter from our precision. So it's a fairly capable round, but the reliability of it is just in the gutter, guys. Of course, your mileage may vary. It's around 55 degrees today. We've got our clear ballistics gel block down there, a 6x6x16, the 10% FBI spec. There is a lot of discussion about the validity of comparing our clear gel results with our organic, and generally speaking, you shouldn't compare them across those mediums. What we see in clear gel should only be considered against other clear gel results. I think with the clear gel, once you get into those rifle-like velocities, some of the expansion and penetration depths can be skewed. So we're looking for at least 12 inches in this medium, preferably 14 to 16, so that if we have any discrepancies in lower penetrations in organic gel, we would know about it. We'll take a shot from each barrel length. The 5.2 inches first. Hopefully the angle of the sun won't mess with us too much. This bottom shot right here is the 8-inch. We have about a 1-inch neck. Then we have disruption extending through about the 9-inch mark. We have a majority of the jacket fragment coming apart there around the 10 to 11. And then all the way out to right around the 13 is our base or our core there. Looks like the lack of velocity has kept that core together. Then if we look at this middle track right here, about the same neck, the 5 to 6 inch mark, we have a little bit of fragmentation loss there. Then again, at the 10-inch mark, a little more. at the 13 to 14, and then right around 16 inches is our base right there. And then we jump all the way down to the 5.2 inch barrel, and we pretty much have, again, identical wounding cavities, very short neck. I can see some of that compressed core coming right there. And then right around the 14 inch mark is our bullet. It meets the spec by about 2 inches, but I'm not sure the reliability of that round would be something I want for self-defense. Here is a top-down shot. Here are our recovered rounds. This is the pistol. A majority of that thin jacket still resides in that bullet. And then right there on the 8 inch and 16 inch are those compressed copper or whatever core. And that's all that remains. The jacket pretty much separated throughout the ballistic medium. Again, this may be at a disadvantage when it comes to certain types of barriers. A ballistic evaluation of our 5.7 load would not be complete without testing it against some soft armor. Now, if I remember correctly, this is the same 30 grain Barnes varmint grenade that Clark Custom Cartridge Company used a long time ago, except they had it going a lot faster out of the pistol. So we have a level 3A Rheinlig panel down there from Armored Republic or AR500 Armor. It's a budget-friendly panel made out of 100% aramid. Typically, that type of material fails to speed low on. So we'll take a shot out of each one, and if we get any penetrations, I have a 100% pure polyethylene plate that we can use in its place. Did not get a velocity reading off that. Not getting any cycling with this load. This one should be easy enough. This was our 5.2 inch and this was our 8 inch. Place those bets in the comments below. R.A.N.G.E, we had penetration on the 8 inch. You can see our bullet is right there. Very shallow depths, but we did get it. Did not get it on the 5.2 inch. The 16 inch, of course, is redundant here. Total penetration depth is right around 5.5 inches. We'll grab that out of there, but basically it kind of mushroomed the jacket over and probably smushed the compressed copper. Now, in a self-defense situation against a person wearing soft armor, you're obviously going to want to follow up with as many shots as possible to stop a threat. We've replaced our aramid fiber panel with a level 3A panel, the Razor line from Stealth Armor Systems. Al makes really high-end ballistic panels, so this is the upper echelon of polyethylene. We'll see what this velocity can do. Did not get a velocity reading off that for some reason, and I was dead center. Here was our shot right here. Definitely a fair hit. This polyethylene is the same through and through, so there is no real front or back. And uh-oh, folks, we have a penetration. Look at that. So that velocity from the 16 inch can defeat some types of polyethylene, and we got a little more penetration out to the 8 inch mark. You can see we have a little bit of fragmentation leaving early on, still on the shallow end, and you effectively need a full 16 inch barrel to do that, whereas 5.56 can do that out of a much shorter barrel length. Now, there's not a lot of 9mm that can penetrate this type of panel either, at least until you go to a 16 inch barrel like that. Interesting. If I had to end the video right now, I would say, I don't know about this one, guys. We had reliability issues with this 30 grain load in practically all of the 5.7 platforms that we tested it. Now, on the flip side, it has been colder out here, and I've noted the same weird reliability issue at times with our 40 grain SS197 or even the American Eagle TMJ, When it's a little bit colder and the loads are a little bit weaker, we don't get reliable cycling in our guns until we get a little bit of heat into them. But with this particular load, we had failure after failure to cycle and pick up the next round. And this is being touted as a reliability proven self-defense load. I'm not quite sure I would go to that extent. If I had to connect some of those dots, I would say that FN has some type of political pressure to keep the velocity of these particular loads below a certain threshold to prevent them from penetrating our soft body armor. And as we saw here today, against a budget-oriented level 3A made out of aramid, our pistol could not do it, but our longer barrels could. We are getting adequate penetration depths out of this load, but I may be wary of how it would do against barriers such as drywall, plywood, or even sheet metal. This is where I think a longer solid copper load such as our Elite Ammunition's T6B or our Vanguard Outfitters Black Dragon Fang shines in this caliber, because we can get the velocity of them up and we're going to get some good tumbling and penetration depths out of those loads. If I were asked to place this in my preferred self-defense loading, I would probably place it very close to the bottom, possibly above our American Eagle TMJ, only for the fact that it did have a little bit of terminal effect, so it kept it from penetrating more than 16 to 18 inches. But in retrospect, our Spear Gold Dot, even the new 4-pedal design, is better because it's a bonded bullet and we have good weight retention. Our AAC VMAX or our Protector 1 from Elite Ammunition, or even the R&R Weapon Systems R37X or Vanguard Outfitters GPM. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here, but at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number one is my Patreon subscribe star and YouTube channel memberships. I have a link tree in the description below. There's different types of affiliate discount codes or affiliate tracking links, and those cost you nothing. They're like the Primary Arms, the Palmetto State Armory, RMA Defense, and they earn me a sales commission, and I put that right back in the channel because I use those funds to buy those boxes of ammunition that you see there. Number two is Gun Zone Deals, who in full transparency didn't provide any of that ammunition or a call back, but I did get it from them, and they were one of the first to offer it at a good price. And of course, number three is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.